What's going on? Wrestling vs. Family. Welcome back to another explosive episode, and if you're just joining us for the first time, hit that subscribe button right now because what we're about to break down is one of the most shocking, most heartbreaking moments in recent WWE history. Brothers. Tag team partners. Best friends. The Usos have been through everything together, standing side by side through wars, championships, and family drama that would tear most people apart. But at the Battle Royal, everything changed. Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, did the unthinkable. He eliminated his own twin brother Jimmy Uso in the most brutal, most calculated way possible. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a deliberate betrayal that has left the WWE universe absolutely devastated. Why did Jey do it? What led to this moment? And what does this mean for the Usos, for the bloodline legacy, and for both brothers moving forward? We're diving deep into every single detail, analyzing the buildup, breaking down the betrayal itself, and predicting where this goes next. But before we get started, smash that like button, drop your reactions in the comments, and let's jump into this incredible story. To truly understand the magnitude of what happened at the Battle Royal, we need to talk about who the Usos are and what they represent in WWE. These aren't just any tag team, they're arguably the greatest tag team of their generation, possibly of all time. The accolades speak for themselves. Multiple tag team championship reigns, record-breaking title defenses, classic matches that will be remembered for decades. Jey and Jimmy Uso grew up in this business. As sons of Rikishi and members of the legendary Anoa'i family, wrestling is literally in their blood. They were born into royalty, but they didn't coast on their family name. They worked harder than almost anyone to prove they deserved their spot at the top. From their early days in WWE developmental to their current status as main event stars, the Usos have earned every bit of respect they receive. What made the Usos special wasn't just their talent, though they have plenty of that. It was their chemistry, their connection, their unbreakable bond as twins who knew each other better than anyone else possibly could. In the ring, they moved like one person. They could anticipate each other's moves, cover for each other's mistakes, and execute double-team maneuvers with precision that other teams could only dream of achieving. But more than that, the Usos represented family loyalty. Through all the bloodline drama, through Roman's rise to power, through the conflicts and the pressure, Jey and Jimmy always had each other's backs. Even when they disagreed, even when Roman pushed them to their limits, even when the stress threatened to break them, they were brothers first, and nothing could come between that. Or so we thought. The cracks in their relationship didn't appear overnight. If we're being honest with ourselves and we look back at the past several months, there were warning signs that something wasn't right between Jey and Jimmy. After Roman Reigns lost the championship and the bloodline started to crumble, both brothers were left trying to figure out who they were without the structure that had defined them for years. Jey was the first to break away from Roman's control, and that journey transformed him. Main event Jey Uso became his own man, stepping out of Roman's shadow and proving he could succeed as a singles competitor. The WWE universe embraced Jey in a way they never had before, chanting his name, buying his merchandise, supporting his journey toward independence and self-discovery. Jey tasted that individual success and that individual spotlight, and it changed something inside him. Jimmy, on the other hand, seemed more lost after the bloodline fractured. While Jey was finding himself, Jimmy was struggling with his identity. He wasn't main event Jimmy. He was half of the Usos, and without that partnership functioning at full capacity, he seemed uncertain about his path forward. That uncertainty created distance between the brothers, even if neither of them wanted to admit it out loud. There were moments on WWE television where you could see the tension bubbling under the surface. A look that lasted too long. Words exchanged backstage that had an edge to them. Times when one brother achieved something and the other's congratulations felt forced or insincere. These were subtle things that casual fans might have missed, but if you were paying attention, you could feel that something wasn't quite right. Then came the announcement of the Battle Royal, a match with huge implications. The winner would receive a championship opportunity, a guaranteed main event spot, a chance to prove themselves as a top singles competitor. For both Jey and Jimmy, this represented an opportunity to define their individual futures. But it also meant that for the first time in their careers, they would be on opposite sides of the ring, competing against each other for something that only one of them could have. In the days leading up to the Battle Royal, both brothers were asked repeatedly about the situation. Would they work together in the match? Would they eliminate each other if necessary? Would family loyalty trump individual ambition? Their answers were diplomatic, carefully worded to avoid controversy, but there was an underlying tension in every interview, every backstage segment, every interaction between them. The night of the Battle Royal arrived, and the energy in the arena was electric. 20 superstars entered that ring with dreams of winning, but all eyes were on Jey and Jimmy Uso. How would this play out? The WWE Universe was hoping for a feel-good moment, maybe both brothers working together to clear the ring, then having a respectful showdown at the end to determine the winner. That's what everyone expected. That's what everyone hoped for. That's not what we got. The early portions of the match played out relatively normally. Bodies were flying over the top rope, alliances were formed and broken, chaos reigned as wrestlers fought for survival. Jey and Jimmy, notably, stayed away from each other. They worked different corners of the ring, eliminated other competitors, but carefully avoided any direct confrontation. The commentators mentioned this, building the anticipation for when the brothers would inevitably have to face each other. As the match progressed and the number of competitors dwindled, the inevitable became unavoidable. Bodies kept getting eliminated until there were only 5 men left in the ring, including Jey and Jimmy. The crowd started to buzz with anticipation. This was it. The moment of truth was approaching. What would happen when the brothers finally had to confront each other? The other 3 competitors in the ring sensed an opportunity. They went after Jey and Jimmy, trying to eliminate both brothers while they were distracted by each other. This is when we saw a glimpse of the old Usos. Jey and Jimmy naturally gravitated toward each other, their years of tag team experience taking over. They fought back to back, protecting each other, hitting their signature double team moves, clearing the ring of the other threats. The crowd erupted. This was what they wanted to see. The Usos working together, being brothers, choosing family over competition. Within minutes, Jey and Jimmy had eliminated the remaining competitors. It was down to just the 2 of them, standing in the ring, the WWE Universe on their feet, waiting to see what would happen next. The brothers stared at each other from across the ring. You could feel the weight of the moment, the years of history between them, the love and respect they had for each other. Jimmy slowly walked toward the center of the ring. Jey did the same. They stood face to face, nose to nose, and you could see the conflict in both their eyes. Neither wanted to hurt the other. Neither wanted this to end their brotherhood. Then Jimmy did something unexpected. He extended his hand. A gesture of respect, of sportsmanship, of love between brothers. The crowd gasped, then began to applaud. This was beautiful. This was what wrestling should be about. Jey looked at Jimmy's extended hand. He looked at his brother's face. And for a moment, just a brief moment, it seemed like Jey might take that hand, and they could end this match with their bond intact. But then Jey's expression changed. Something dark flickered across his face. His jaw clenched. His eyes hardened. And in that instant, everyone watching knew something terrible was about to happen. Before Jimmy could react, before he could pull his hand back, before he could defend himself, Jey struck. It wasn't a simple elimination. It wasn't a clean, respectful finish to a competitive match. Jey unleashed on Jimmy with a fury that shocked everyone watching. A superkick that came out of nowhere, catching Jimmy completely off guard. Jimmy stumbled backward, hurt and confused, looking at his brother with absolute betrayal in his eyes. But Jey wasn't done. Not even close. Jey charged forward and hit another superkick, this one even more vicious than the first. Jimmy crashed to the mat, barely conscious. The crowd was in shock, booing at the top of their lungs, unable to believe what they were witnessing. Jey stood over his fallen brother, and the look on his face was cold, calculated, completely devoid of the regret or guilt you would expect from someone who just attacked their twin. Then came the final insult. Jey dragged Jimmy's limp body to the ropes. He didn't just eliminate him, he wanted to make a statement. Jey lifted his own brother and threw him over the top rope with more force than necessary, watching as Jimmy crashed to the floor outside. The referee called for the bell. Jey Uso had won the Battle Royal, but at what cost? The celebration that followed was chilling. Jey didn't look conflicted or upset about what he had just done. He had his arm raised in victory, he posed on the turnbuckle, he soaked in the booze from the crowd like he was feeding off their hatred. This wasn't the main event Jey that fans had grown to love. This was someone different, someone colder, someone willing to sacrifice everything, even his own brother, to achieve his goals. Outside the ring, Jimmy slowly pulled himself up using the barricade. He was hurt physically, but the emotional pain was written all over his face. He looked up at the ring where his twin brother was celebrating, and the devastation in his eyes broke hearts around the world. Jimmy had extended his hand in brotherhood, and Jey had responded with betrayal. How do you come back from that? The immediate aftermath was chaos. Medical staff checked on Jimmy while Jey continued his celebration in the ring. Backstage interviews tried to get reactions from other superstars, all of whom seemed shocked and horrified by what had transpired. Social media exploded with fans expressing their disbelief, their anger, their sadness at seeing the Usos implode in such a brutal fashion. Let's talk about why Jey did what he did, because understanding his motivation is crucial to understanding where this story goes from here. On the surface, it's simple. Jey wanted to win. He wanted that championship opportunity. He wanted to continue his rise as a single star, and Jimmy was the only thing standing between him and victory. In that moment, ambition won out over brotherhood. But it goes deeper than that. Remember, Jey spent years under Roman's thumb, being told what to do, being controlled, being made to feel like he would never be good enough on his own. When he finally broke free and found success as main event Jey Uso, it awakened something in him. A hunger for individual glory, a need to prove that he's not just half of a tag team but a complete superstar in his own right. Maybe Jey looked at Jimmy and saw his past, saw the tag team that he needed to leave behind to fully embrace his future. Maybe eliminating Jimmy wasn't just about winning the battle royal, it was about eliminating that part of himself that was holding him back, the part that always put family first even when it meant sacrificing his own dreams and ambitions. There's also the possibility that years of suppressed resentment played a role. Did Jey secretly resent always being seen as one half of a unit rather than his own person? Did he resent that Jimmy seemed content with being a tag team wrestler when Jey wanted more? Did he resent the expectations and pressure that came with being part of the bloodline and the Usos? All that resentment could have been building for years, and it finally exploded in that ring. From Jimmy's perspective, this betrayal is absolutely devastating. He trusted Jey completely. They're not just brothers or tag team partners, they're twins who have been together since birth, who have faced every challenge in their lives side by side. Jimmy extended his hand in that ring expecting his brother to take it because that's what they've always done, they've always chosen each other. To have Jey not only reject that hand but attack him viciously is a level of betrayal that cuts deeper than anything Jimmy has experienced before. The question everyone is asking now is, where do we go from here? This isn't something that can be fixed with a simple apology. This isn't a misunderstanding that can be cleared up with a conversation. Jey deliberately, viciously betrayed Jimmy in front of the entire world. The level of hurt and anger Jimmy must be feeling is immeasurable. The obvious path forward is a feud between the brothers, and it has the potential to be one of the most emotional, most personal feuds WWE has seen in years. These two know each other better than anyone else knows them. They know each other's weaknesses, each other's fears, each other's vulnerabilities. A feud between Jey and Jimmy wouldn't just be about wrestling moves and winning matches. It would be about hurting each other emotionally, about saying and doing things specifically designed to cause maximum pain. Imagine the promos. Jimmy standing in the ring, voice breaking, talking about how he trusted Jey with everything, how they were supposed to be brothers forever, how he doesn't even recognize the person Jey has become. Then Jey responding coldly, saying he's tired of being held back, tired of being half of something when he can be whole on his own, telling Jimmy that he's sorry but not sorry enough to change anything. The matches between them would be brutal. Not just physically, although they would certainly beat the hell out of each other. But emotionally brutal, with both men fighting not to hurt each other but to destroy each other, to prove that they don't need their twin, that they're better off alone. Every superkick, every splash, every pin attempt would carry years of history and emotion behind it. We could see Jimmy eventually get his revenge, costing Jey the championship opportunity he won by betraying his brother. We could see the feud escalate to the point where they're having no disqualification matches, cage matches, or even an I Quit match where one brother has to make the other say those words. The possibilities are endless, and all of them are compelling. There's also the question of how this affects the bloodline as a whole. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, the rest of the family, how do they react to Jey and Jimmy's civil war? Do they try to mediate and bring the brothers back together? Do they take sides, with some supporting Jey's ambition and others defending Jimmy's loyalty? Could this schism within the USO brothers create larger fractures throughout the entire family? Some fans are speculating that this could lead to a complete reformation of the bloodline with new alliances and new leadership. Maybe Jey aligns himself with whoever currently holds power, using his victory and his willingness to do whatever it takes as proof that he deserves to be the right-hand man. Maybe Jimmy, feeling betrayed and alone, finds new allies outside the family who can help him get revenge on his brother. The storytelling potential here is absolutely incredible. WWE has the opportunity to create something special, a feud that fans will remember for years because it feels real, because the emotions are genuine, because we've watched these brothers together for so long that seeing them torn apart is genuinely painful to witness. From a business perspective, this is also a smart move by WWE. The Usos have been the most dominant tag team for years, but the tag team division can only give you so much spotlight. By splitting them up and creating this feud, WWE can potentially create two main event level singles stars instead of one great tag team. That's doubling their investment if they book this correctly. And that's where we are right now. Wrestling vs. Family. Jey Uso betrayed Jimmy Uso at the Battle Royal in one of the most shocking moments of the year. A brotherhood that seemed unbreakable has been shattered. A tag team that dominated WWE has imploded. And two brothers who once would have done anything for each other are now on a collision course toward destruction. What happens next? Can Jey and Jimmy ever reconcile? Will Jimmy get his revenge? Has Jey gone too far to ever be forgiven? And what does this mean for the future of both men and the entire Anoa'i family legacy? Drop all your thoughts, reactions, and predictions in the comments below. Are you Team Jey or Team Jimmy? Do you think the brothers can ever work together again? What should happen in their first singles match against each other? I want to hear everything you're thinking about this situation. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most emotional stories happening in WWE right now, go ahead and destroy that like button. Subscribe to Wrestling Verse and hit the notification bell so you never miss our coverage of this developing feud. We'll be breaking down every promo, every confrontation, and every match as this story unfolds. Thank you so much for watching, Wrestling Verse family. This is the kind of storytelling that makes wrestling special, and I'm excited to experience it with all of you. Until next time, stay locked into the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.